all the diamonds, and she echoed the quilting on them. Can you see it?
It is beautiful, isn't it?
This is Travis. Standing up to for Travis.
Standing up for myself in the midst of this is my self-respect, right? And in this self-respect, there is a great communication coming to you, an invitation.
Standing up.
Our family's suffering is connected to a greater story. Thank God. And all the efforts that we make to take responsibility for the part that we've played to perpetuate the suffering may be considered a prayer for all.
To for Travis.
I truly believe that we honor our ancestors when we get free from the bondage to which they introduced us. An open letter to my family. I wish you well. I mean you no harm. I see you, I love you, and I'm aware of what's been going on. Hello, family. This message is so important to me, and the love that I have for you is so great that I took the time to write this message out for you. This is an exciting time. There's a lot of opportunity for growth, for deepening our understanding of ourselves, our relationships to one another, and the human condition. If we don't have a really solid rooting, it's going to get more and more difficult to maintain a perspective that allows us to be of some kind of help in this confused and hurting world. And that's my mission, is to be some kind of help in this confused and hurting world. And I have lots of good reports, and I've been showing my work. LNTEOW, labor and the expression of worth. Doing the work, showing the work, and together discovering our common work. I have a vast archive of material stored on both Facebook and YouTube. Please check out my insightful, intelligent, and creative videos. I am immensely grateful for all the love that I received through each of you and all of you. None of us would be here if it were not for the loving sacrifice that our ancestors made for family. All my work is rooted in the work of forgiveness that I began uncovering through Christ many years ago. An inquiry into Travel and Trav's work is also an inquiry into the greater work that's happening right now, species-wide, worldwide on our planet. Here's one way you can support me. You can share this playlist that I have on YouTube. It's called Travel and Trav Recordings. Go to the playlists on my channel and you'll find it there. You'll see the prolific nature of my musical work in this list, and you'll see there's videos here. I think it's entertaining. There's laughs, there's serious stuff, it shows a lifetime's work happening for myself while many other educations were going on. Just one way that you might be able to get an appreciation for the depth of work that's been going on through me by God's grace. God has been faithful to lead me on this journey of self-discovery. Every job I ever had, every relationship, every circumstance, each field of study to which I have devoted myself, all of this I have received as God's gift to me, an answer to a desperate prayer for salvation that I prayed when I was 22 years old. I trust that you also have been discovering your truest expression. It is with gratitude that I contact you today. I approach you with this next offering of my work. I'm calling it an open letter to my family. When you say yes to supporting Travel and Trav, you are also supporting all the brothers to which he is connected, as Travel and Trav is manifesting this deeper brotherhood. My public work is a self-governed conscious practice. If and when I address my own personal issues, I always connect that personal struggle to the greater struggle, the human condition. And this open letter to you is no different. I believe that the work we do together is a prayer for all of humanity. Every relationship, every family is an intercession for the greater human family. It is with a great respect for the entire human experience that I write to you today. Kyle's suicide was a significant marker in my life. As you may know, I was privileged to spend 1 month with him in Denver just after his first suicide attempt. He and I together were unable to manifest a collective wisdom to alter his course sufficiently to help him into the future. It was an incredibly educational time for me. When I left him there in Denver, I knew he was still not well, but I had to leave because we were at such odds with one another. A family tradition, you might say. I'm grateful that the last time I saw him, we hugged and said, "I love you, brother." Brother. This was his cry to me for many years, and sadly, I was never able to be the brother that my younger brother so desperately needed. In our childhood, I was a source of both physical and emotional abuse. Kyle and I were raised in a shaming and belittling atmosphere, and I know that you are all aware of that. These are the facts. Just as Kyle and I, together, did not possess the collective wisdom to help him move forward, it is now quite clear to me how our family was severely lacking in a collective wisdom that might have offered help to the suffering Irwins: Rick, Lori, Travis, Kyle. One result of Kyle's death for myself was a necessary increase of focus and attention on my own healing journey. It is with this same focus that I approach you today with this message. I wish you well. I mean you no harm. My work is to call us all into a deeper, stronger, more compassionate and responsible place. A great part of my life's work is now expressed in the answering of that cry for brother, which Kyle made to me so many times. If you were to explore my video archives, you would see this message consistently, and you would see how I connect this message to the greater human story. The less personal it becomes, the more connected to the big work my story becomes. We are not alone. Our family's suffering is connected to a greater story. Thank God. And all the efforts that we make to take responsibility for the part that we've played to perpetuate the suffering may be considered a prayer for all, which brings me to the invitation to action that I'm making to you, taking responsibility. Several years ago, I was so graciously invited to a Christmas meal, which I was incredibly grateful to attend. I still have the blanket that Aunt Lindy gifted to me that day, and that blanket has helped to keep me warm as I've been living in my car for much of the time since then. At that Christmas meal, God bless Uncle John, who helped me to understand more clearly who we are as a family when he remembered my grandfather, Vince, by calling him an asshole. This name-calling event, considered with much love and forgiveness over the last several years, has helped me to see with great compassion how hurting we all have been. A telling sign of how our family functions. A public pronouncement of our shitlisting, shaming, and scapegoating. And I mention it now as a means of education and instruction for all of us. I'm aware that these words will almost inevitably cause some of you to feel confronted. And there is the possibility that you might take some kind of personal offense. That's because I'm pointing to the heart of our family's dysfunction. And in the context of Kyle's life, it is this scapegoating that resulted ultimately in his self-compromise and self-inflicted exit strategy. And that's not to relieve him of any of his personal responsibility, because that's actually what I'm addressing, is our capacity to take personal responsibility right now. It's difficult to be confronted with the truth, I know. Difficult but necessary if we are to deepen our collective wisdom. This letter, I believe, is one part of a greater work in which I am now deeply engaged. If you notice now that you are closing yourself off from these ideas that I'm communicating to you, if you are taking this personally, that is exactly what I'm challenging you to get over. Shitlisting, shaming, scapegoating. These familial practices are protected by self-centered psychological frameworks, and these frameworks are the authors of our identity. If you are feeling threatened somehow in any way by these words, that's okay. And it's very understandable why you might have that response. It's very natural to feel that way. And that's kind of the parenting that we never got, right? That's exactly what we needed to hear. I too shared erroneous and harmful teachings with my children. Much of my online work is kind of the truth telling, the self telling on my own life. Sometimes I call it a cautionary tale. And if my life is to be a cautionary tale, which to some extent it is, every generation must give what they have and then acknowledge the lack of what they had to give. And then there's this kind of this slingshot action that as we forgive one another intergenerationally, we can everything that was meant to destroy us, all of that energy must now be turned in our advantage to those of us who are saying yes to our deepest callings. Labor and the expression of worth. Finding the courage to answer our deepest calling. First things first. It's very natural to feel that way when confronted with your own untended responsibility. We might take a couple of breaths together right now. You might tune in to where you feel that offense in your body. That's what I learned when I went to therapy, like, where do you feel that in your body? Yeah, that was part of me, for many years, how I've been taking personal responsibility, is by taking the deep look inside, personal, fearless and searching personal inventories, and then the confession that comes with that, a joyful confession, a freedom, an expression of freedom from the past. Yeah, a couple of breaths. I'm not here to belittle you or attack you. I'm here to share with you my part. What you do with that is up to you. It's up to you and your deepest self, whatever you want to call that, your most authentic self. I release all expectation of any response you may have to this particular iteration of my healing outreach practice. This is all new to me too. I'm going to take another moment here to share with you my understanding of how shitlisting, shaming, and scapegoating and belittling work in families, and then I will conclude. No one likes to feel guilty, and what we do with our guilt and shame is incredibly important. When a family doesn't have a collective practice to effectively deal with guilt and shame, that's when we tend to create shaming shit lists in order to maintain behavioral control. Scapegoating. Scapegoating is when a family unconsciously unloads all their guilt and shame onto the most available member. Self-righteousness is a driver of scapegoating. We externalize our own guilt onto the one who most apparently embodies the hurt of the entire family. In the wake of Kyle's death, I've been making these investigations into my own responsibility. Some suicide survivor groups, I've discovered, gather together to reassure one another that it's not our fault. I'm suggesting another approach. I'm suggesting that the violent, self-inflicted death of one of us may very well be indicative of something that we can take responsibility for. As I mentioned a moment ago, it is not my job to monitor your response to this message that I'm sharing with you. It is, however, very important for my part in this great collective prayer to deliver it, and to deliver it as clearly and concisely as possible. That's why I wrote it down. I see it. It's been my life study because it's threatened my life and it took my brother's life. It is my responsibility to stand up for myself in the loving communication of the incredibly valuable and rare conclusions to which I come. Yeah, standing up for myself in the midst of this is my self-respect, right? And in this self-respect, there is a great communication coming to you, an invitation. I invite you to take all the time you need to process. I'm not attached to any particular outcome from this video, but I do pray that you will allow yourself to be guided by your own inner wisdom to shed that you can shed all the self-righteousness that continues to express itself in our traditional shit-listing, shaming, and scapegoating and belittling practices. I believe that we all came here together to work this miracle of love. May the Lord bless you and keep you, cause his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you, and give you peace.
All the diamonds, and she echoed the quilting on them. Can you see it?
It is beautiful, isn't it?